Hey guys, what is up and welcome to the Ells and William Show. My name is Els,
I'm William.
and today we have another special guest for you guys. Just 2 weeks ago we had Jabri Abdur-Rahim on here, and now we have another UVA basketball signee, and that is Carson McCorkle. Carson, how are you?
Hey man, how you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. So I guess we're just going to start this off as we start off all of our interviews. How's quarantine going for you, and how is the rehab from your foot injury going?
It's been pretty good. I'm pretty much done with school now. I kind of like a senior internship slash project going on for the next couple weeks. But that's all I'm doing. So I've been doing that. I'm actually doing a podcast, which is funny. So
Nice.
I'm kind of doing similar stuff to what y'all are doing. Um, then trying to work out as much as I can. I'm rehabbing pretty much every day. And trying to fish and play a lot of golf as well. So trying to make my time as useful as I can.
Nice.
What's the subject of your podcast? What are you guys talking about? The first one we did, we just brought on like one of our school friends and talked about like the virus and stuff. And then we just went out yesterday on YouTube with do y'all know who Kara Lawson is? She's an assistant for the Boston Celtics.
Okay.
Um, she played at Tennessee. And she was my USA 3-on-3 coach. So we had her on yesterday and talked to her kind of about the NBA and some stuff like that in her career. So
Okay.
nice.
That's pretty cool.
Um, so I kind of have a question about. I did a little research, and your coach seems to be one of the best, most winningest coaches in North Carolina high school history.
Yeah.
Coach Johnson. So Right. what has he taught you? This guy who's been there, coaching for so long, I think of 40 years. What has he taught you while playing Greensboro Day, and how has he left an impact on you as a player? Yeah, well, I think on and off the court, he's the best in the country. If not the best ever as a high school coach to prepare you for college. I don't think in that aspect of academically and athletically at that school, with him, I think he does the best job in the country of preparing you to go into a real program in college and being prepared. And I think that's what he's best at. And just the way he runs his program and challenges his team every year. He's got 12 state championships under his belt. So he knows how to win, and he wins every single year. And he's in the he's always up there at the top to win a state every year, and gets them back into the Dix Nationals. So is he pretty close with Coach K and Roy Williams and the North Carolina coaches being such a high school legend? Yeah, he is. I'm sure we'll talk about Kason later, but that's a kind of big reason why Kason got the walk-on spot at Duke is Freddie's, close with K and knows the system's there. So when Kason got into Duke, they made it a point to have Freddie call, and a couple weeks later he got the spot. So I think, he's close with coaches like that and has built relationships with them over the years. He worked Coach K's camp probably 30 years ago. Yeah. And Roy, I think he worked Roy's as well. So he's made lots of connections that way. Yeah.
So I think, if I'm not mistaken, you've reclassed twice during high school, once into the 2021 class and then later back into the class 2020. What led
Right.
to you reclassing the first time? And then when you did it the second time, how big a factor was recruiting in that decision process?
Yeah. The first time that I reclassed down to 21, it was kind of a safety reason. Just obviously all the schools that were recruiting me at that time had recruited me for 2020 and hadn't even thought about 21. But it was a safety reason for GDS, just for me, thinking that there was a chance I was going to need another year of high school to be prepared, or be more ready, if that makes it simpler. So that happened, but once kind of my 16U summer going into my junior year, when I talked to a lot of schools that recruited me, nobody really, other than like Duke and Carolina basically, and Kentucky a little bit, was looking at me 2021. And when Virginia came along, they saw no reason for me to stay in 21. So it made it a lot easier for me to move right back to 20.
Nice.
Yep. So this is going to be tying back to your AAU days, playing for Garner Road. And I watched some highlights when you were playing at Boo Williams, so that's not that far from where we are in Norfolk and Virginia Beach. But how was that experience? Playing with Garner Road and playing on the AAU circuit. I know I think Dayron Sharp was on your team too.
Yeah, he was.
How was that experience playing on the AAU circuit?
It was fun. I played there, I think, like 5 or 6 years. I started in 7th grade. It was really good for me, because I was used to playing with a different team that I was kind of like the best player and the guy on that team, and I was pretty soft. So over at Garner Road, it was a different atmosphere for me. I had to compete at first to actually play and get playing time, and there was no soft stuff going on around there, so it toughed me up for sure. And then obviously the competition was on another level playing on Adidas compared to not playing with an issue circuit team. And then playing for David West was a pretty cool experience for me, and he taught me so much. So that was definitely a great move for me.
Yeah. Were you asked to be more of a shooter for that team, than or take on kind of a less of a role than your high school team, or was it kind of the same?
I was a little bit of the same. I think when I got there, practices, workouts, everything I did was more intense than what I'd been doing. And the competition, not only what we played against, but the competition on my team was much greater. So that really built more of a toughness inside me that I can't thank that program enough for, because I think if I never played there, I don't know where I'd be right now. So they built a lot of toughness and put a lot of things into my game that I don't think I would have gotten if I hadn't played for them.
Right.
And so just sticking with high school for a little bit, how much have you enjoyed playing with Cam Hayes at Greensboro Day and having him as your point guard over the last few years? And what can we expect to see from him in Raleigh this upcoming year?
Yeah, that's my guy. I love Cam. Playing 2 years with Cam was fun. We played against each other in AAU since middle school, but getting to play with him the last years was fun. I think we had the best backcourt in North Carolina and one of the best in the country for the past 2 years, especially this past year. I think he's going to do a lot of good things in Raleigh. I grew up a big state fan. I'm from Raleigh, so I went to a lot of games growing up. And I think he's going to do very, very well there. I think he fits, the system perfectly.
Yeah, I heard him talking there was an interview you did with Cam that I saw, that he fit well and keep the system.
Right.
So I get that, but this might bring back some painful memories. But Cam was pretty close to committing to UVA, wasn't he? And were you riding him pretty hard to join the group with you and the other members of the 2020 class?
Yeah. Once Reese committed, I backed off a little bit because I knew that was kind of the point guard in our class that we had gotten. If I'm not mistaken, he wasn't committed to state yet, but state had offered and everything. And once state had offered, I could kind of tell that that's where he was leaning. And on top of that, watching state games for so long and seeing Keith's games as well.
Yeah.
I wanted the best for Cam, and state was perfect for Cam. So I did push for a while, but there was always some factors that came in that make you think, it wouldn't be good for Cam to come here in the first place. But I'm happy for him. I know he's gonna love Raleigh.
Yeah, he'll be an instant impact, I think, especially with Hall going to the league now.
Right.
So Cam's gonna be their top recruit, and I see him jumping right into a starting role. So yeah,
Yep.
Yep.
So talk to us a little bit about Coach Bennett and the recruiting process for you. How did you first come across Coach Bennett, and how did he sell you on UVA?
Yeah, that was definitely the most interesting recruiting process I've ever had with any of the coaches. We built a relationship in a way different way than I'd built a relationship with any other coach. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It was very positive. We're both strong Christians. We love golf, which is something that we talked about a lot. He used to call me when he was recruiting me, and we just talked about like golf clubs and stuff like that. So it's definitely something that I didn't talk about with any other coach, obviously. But obviously the first time I met him, was I visited UVA. Ooh, I can't even remember. They hadn't even offered me yet. I'm pretty sure it was the spring. There was one weekend in the spring where we didn't have any AAU tournaments. And I went up there. No one was even up there. And I went up there and kind of just spent the day with him and walked around. And he kind of showed me, they made like a little clip of me playing and comparing it to some players and some of their systems. And I just saw a great fit. And at that point, he hadn't offered me, but kind of when he showed me that video, that kind of gave me the trigger that I knew that's where I wanted to go and where I really saw myself playing.
Nice.
How was you, Jabri, and Reese went to the Florida State game? How was that atmosphere, Scott?
It was awesome. I grew up going to a lot of state football games, but that was definitely a better atmosphere than most of the state games I've been to. It's no SEC football, but it was great. It was a great game, and we had a great weekend there, and we got to see the banner go up and everything like that. So that was definitely the perfect weekend to be up there.
Right. And then on that note of Jabri and Reese, you were the first commit in the 2020 class.
Right.
And you and Jabri, when we talked to them, it sounds like you guys go back a little ways. So
right.
How did you help influence them to come to UVA with you? And were there any other guys besides Cam who you were, going after to join you in the 2020 class?
Yeah. Once I saw Jabri had offered, I kind of texted him, or not Jabri, he'd gotten offered by Virginia. I texted him. And I knew that was the top on his list. At that point, he didn't know where he was going, but they're high on his list. And then I saw that he had announced he's going to be committing tomorrow. And I knew Virginia was very high on his list, so I texted him and said, "Yo, is UVA going to be it?" And he had told me that day before that it was. So it really wasn't that hard to get Jabri to go there. I think once we offered him, I felt like we had a really good chance. And the way Coach Bennett talked about him, that gave me even more confidence. And with Reese, I didn't even know Reese at all. I knew we had offered him, and I had just known him from AAU, but I never talked to him. I didn't know much. And then while they were at the top 100 camp, I saw he committed. So as soon as I saw that, I just texted him. And we kind of built a relationship from there. But those were one of those guys that I'd played against, but never like actually gotten to know. But obviously, we just knew who each other was.
Right.
And so I've seen you on Twitter and Instagram over the past few seasons following the team pretty seriously. I know you've gone to a few games yourself. You mentioned the Florida State football game this past fall. How has that experience been being a UVA fan for the last 2 years? And how excited has that gotten you to finally get to play in JPJ?
Yeah. Well, it's been a little bit of ups and downs, obviously, when they had the famous loss, and then came right back and winning the national championship the next year. If you're a hardcore UVA fan, that's one heck of a ride from one year to another. But to hear the story from Coach Bennett, how the players talk about it, how the staff talks about it, it made me love that program just even more to see how they were so calm and they had so much confidence in themselves and that team. They had no doubt that they could win it all. And when I first visited, I visited them right after they lost, like a couple months after.
Oh, dang.
And it was one of the first things we talked about was that loss. Because Coach Bennett brought it up in the first 15 minutes of me meeting him. And that was something that kind of stood out to me, that they don't shy away from those things. They take every challenge that comes to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he's talked a lot about how adversity has helped him and calls it the golden ticket to where you want to be. So he's obviously
right.
That's something that he's not afraid to talk about as a lesson of adversity and getting over that hump. That's always cool about Tony. And then, so I don't think we've talked enough about your 3-point skills here. You're a sharpshooter behind the arc. And what is one part of your game that you take pride in besides your 3-point shooting ability?
I think my athleticism. I think I'm a very underrated athlete, and part of that's kind of my fault. I don't show it enough, but I think the way I can get to the rim and finish at the rim is something that I need to use more, but I think it's a part of my game that I have a lot of confidence in that I think not as many people know about me in my game. And especially with my foot surgery now, My foot's completely different. It's like a whole new foot. So, which is awesome. It's very good. So hopefully that's going to help me a lot in terms of lateral movement and jumping. So that'll be great.
So next year, how much are you looking forward to getting to play alongside two of the premier three-point shooters in the ACC, in Sam Hauser and Thomas Waldo-Tensai?
Yeah. Well, obviously, I think Sam's going to be a great fit, and Sam's a great shooter. He's going to fit right in, and obviously Thomas is. We saw last year, how hot he got, especially the Louisville game at Louisville. How well he can shoot the ball. I think those are two guys that I can really learn from in my first year. In terms, obviously, shooting is a difficult thing because you can be a great shooter, but once you go up a level, if you don't adjust and, learn how to shoot at a different level with more athletic guys, bigger guys, you can fall off very fast. So I think it's something that it's hard to maintain the higher level you play. So, I'm definitely going to try to, learn from those guys as much as I can next year.
All right.
Following up on that, so did seeing the success of three-point shooters at UVA, guys like Kyle Guy and Joe Harris, and maybe I'll even throw Sammy Zaglinski in there. He was in the early 2010s. Did that influence you all in coming to UVA, is knowing that your role, you'd be building off of guys like those who had great success as shooters?
Yeah, well, I think, Coach Bennett was a great shooter himself. But seeing the different guys that he has had in his program and his offense, the way they've been able to shoot, and the shots they're taking, I think it fits my shooting style very well. And I think it's part of the game that I'm most comfortable with is coming off screens and things like that. And shooting off the bounce is probably the weakest part of my shooting game that I got to work on. And that's something that I'll probably learn, and use more when I get to college. But especially coming off screens, kind of having to make adjustments on which side to go off of and things like that.
Yeah. And then, all right, I'm going to go back to this because we talked about it in the beginning. We've been talking about it. What can we expect from the walk-on Kason Pierce at Duke next year as one of your former teammates?
A lot of smarts. He is the smartest kid I've ever met in my entire life. He's a genius. He is a great teammate. He's probably the most vocally supportive teammate I've ever had. And he works his tail off every day. I played with him for 3 years, and the first 2 years that I played with him, he didn't start and didn't play much, and he's still one of the hardest workers on and off the court. And last year, or technically this year, he really didn't play much at all. Well, not play much at all, but he didn't start much at all. It was kind of up and down for him. So, but he never stopped working, and he's a great leader.
Yeah.
And so we always like to end with one fun question, I guess. And so I've been seeing your comments on Instagram about this. I've been seeing a lot of UVA fans drawing the comparison. What do you have to say to those people that think you look like John B. from the Outer Banks? And what are your thoughts on the show?
Yeah, well, it's funny because I've only seen the first 2 episodes of the show, so I haven't really watched the show. I don't know. I tried to watch it, and I don't know. I wasn't that. I thought it was good, but it wasn't like something that caught my eye. But before that even happened, I had a night within a span of 2 hours. I had 15 different people text me that were not connected, and they were like, "Yo, you really look like this guy in Outer Banks. You should watch it." I had people that I hadn't spoken to in months text me, and I was like, "Oh, all right, dang." So I watched the first 2 episodes, and I don't see it, and I was just all right, I don't really see it, but I guess other people do.
Yeah.
And then I woke up one day or something, looked at my Twitter, and Big Shots had posted something about it. It's kind of an ongoing thing now. I guess it's good. People say he's handsome, so I'm not really mad about it. But
Yeah, I guess it's a compliment.
yeah,
You got.
so I guess it's a compliment, but yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. Well, Carson, thank you so much for taking your time out to come on to the podcast today, and we wish you the best of luck for for next season and the rest of your career.
Yeah. If y'all ever want to come on podcast too, just let me know.
Yeah, for sure.
But appreciate you guys having me on. It was fun.
All right.
Thanks, Carson.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now
See you
we
guys.
are. Yep. And we are signing off. This is the Ells and William Show. I'm Els.
I'm William.